Chuck with Queen Bee Creations. Today I am testing out some
milk paint
for the shop. I really want to be able to add a paint that's going to give me that nice kind of chippy look, and nothing does that like
milk
chalk
paint.
A lot of people get freaked out because it comes in a powder form and they think it's going to be super difficult to be able to mix up. Water, powder, stir. I've got a little tiny whisk, not a big deal. So when you're mixing it, what is best is to add the water slowly. I like doing the water to the paint, so I put the powder in first, then I add the water, and warm water because it mixes easier, but mostly so that I can control how much water it needs. If I start with the water, sometimes I end up adding tons of the paint and I end up with way more than I need. So I like to just kind of mix it in slowly. The paint that I use does not come with a bonding agent in it. So this is Sweet Pickins, beautiful, beautiful colors, but it does not come with a bonding agent, which means it increases the likelihood that you're going to get some chipping, which is what I want. However, my first coat, I don't want some bonding. I don't want some chipping happening. So I am adding some bonding to it, which means I actually mix it up a little bit thicker, because when I add the bonding agent, I'm adding more liquid to it. And so I add that toward the end, but I make sure that I've got a little bit thicker consistency. Usually what you're looking for is kind of like a melted milkshake, right? Really thin batter. You don't want it too watery, but really depends upon what you're doing. You can do it with just about anything. I'm going to be doing this dresser. I've got the drawers taken out and off to the side, as you can see. I'm going to stand up and do the top right now while you're with me. But what I'm looking at doing is doing one coat of white with the bonding agent, so that when I add my next color over top, then if I get some crackling and some chipping, that maybe I'll also be exposing some of the white. That's the plan. So I don't know, let's give it a try. I've cleaned off the piece. I did not sand it because I'm checking out how well the bonding agent works too. So as I'm trialing and testing, you get to come along with me. So let me pop out of the frame. But really, it's no different than painting with any other kind of paint, right? You're just going to be painting it on like you would anything else, and you would do however many coats that you want. You don't want to mix up more paint than you need. Certainly not with the bonding agent, because it tends to keep thickening up and gelling over time. So you're only going to want to mix up what you need of that. If you've got the regular
Milk paint,
you have no bonding agent in it, you can just put it into a sealed jar, pop it into the fridge, and keep it for a couple of days. So it's not a big problem, but it does mean it's always going to be shelf stable. You're not going to be mixing up, you know, all of your paint, so it's going to keep for years. So if you're worried about whether or not you're going to use all your paint before it goes bad, this in its powder form is going to keep forever. So you're not going to have any trouble with it whatsoever. So you can see nothing to this. All I'm going to do is continue to paint the dresser, get the white on there, and then we'll meet up for the next coat. Hey there, day 2. So we have our coat of our white base. So this is Flour Sack from Sweet Pickins with the extra bond. So I don't see any discernible chipping, which is what we were hoping to achieve. But now we're going to be adding on our coats of color with no bonding agent. And in which case we are hoping to get some chipping. We just don't know how much we're gonna get, where it's gonna happen, and what it's gonna look like. So that's kind of the fun of milk paint. Sometimes it's the heartbreak of milk paint when it doesn't chip and you wanted it to, or it chips too much than you wanted, but we'll see how it goes. Now the color that I've mixed up, you can see that it's this beautiful kind of farmhousey green kind of color. I actually mixed two colors together, Pantry Door, I think, and Sweetie Jean. So I just got sample sizes of everything, which would have been enough to do one coat, but I'm thinking I need two. So I knew that I would need to kind of mix two colors together. These seem to perhaps go together really well, and they have really made a lovely, lovely color. So my task today is just simply, see, look at that color. Isn't that lovely? Just a soft kind of farmhousey green. Okay, I'm loving that color. So those two mixed together are beautiful. Just for future reference. So my task today is to just simply put on one coat, let it dry, put on a second coat, and then leave it overnight. And then we come back and see what happens. Okay, so the idea here is just to get my paint on. I'm loving this color. And two coats, and then we'll do some sanding and see what chipping we get. Sometimes the chipping may be really visible so that we see it before the sanding. We can see some of the cracks happening and some of the chipping happening. Sometimes we'll only see it happen once we start doing the sanding. And again, we could get the chipping happening down to the white layer. We might get it chipping right through the white layer to the exposed wood, but I like that. I would like the combination of that on this. We're going for that old time-worn kind of look. So we'll see how it goes. So I'm just gonna simply carry on painting my two coats, and then I'll see you tomorrow when we take a look at whether or not we've got some visible chipping, and then we'll do some sanding together. Hey there. I tried to bring you in close so you could see before I even start sanding a lot of this chippy goodness. Now, I will say I seem to have gotten a lot of chipping happening right in these edges and grooves. And if you find that you have too much happening, then you can do all your sanding and then go back over some spots with more paint. Again, let it dry, see how much adheres and how much chips off. So really the task at hand today is to take your sandpaper, and I'm using a 320 grit because I just want to knock off the top where it's not chipping, and then see how much of this chips off as I go. So this is sometimes the fun and some of the frustration sometimes of milk paint, because sometimes it's going to chip where it wants to. It does it where sometimes you don't want it, sometimes you get no chipping, sometimes you get too much chipping, and you got to be prepared to just kind of go with the organic feel of it. So the task at hand now is just simply to go over it, sanding it down, seeing how much paint is going to chip off, and then deciding how much you love it and how much you need to add a little bit more paint if you wanted to, or if you're just going to kind of roll with it and kind of say, that's it, that's how it rolls. So far, I'm really kind of loving it. And what I will do is, before I do any repainting, if I feel it's necessary, is I will sand this all down. I will wipe it all down with a tack cloth, And I will put the drawers back in to see how much chipping was on the drawers versus on the rest of the piece. Is there a good balance? Do I like how it is? And then see about sealing. So at this stage, let me show you one of the drawers here. Whoa. So you can see that I've got some chipping. Just even rubbing it with my fingers is taking that paint off. So I've got some chipping happening with the drawers, and I want to see overall kind of the balance of it all and make my decisions there. So all I'm going to be doing is doing my sanding, seeing how much paint comes off, how much wants to stay, and going from there. Okay, we have got this baby all sanded, it's ready to go. Now, with milk paint, when you are finished sanding, and I had suggested you could use a tack cloth, it's not unusual for many of us to just grab kind of a damp cloth to be able to get a lot of the dust up. You do not want to do that with milk paint because the water will seep in and be absorbed, and it will cause it to start chipping. So it's not a bad thing, except you just sanded the chips off. Once it dries, you're gonna have to do it again. Don't do that. Just wipe it away, blow it off, use a dry cloth to be able to get it off. A tack cloth works great, something that's not gonna add moisture back into your product. Then it's time to seal. Now, again, it is not ideal to use a polyacrylic sealer with milk paint because it's got a lot of water in it, it's got a lot of moisture, it's going to absorb, it's going to cause more chipping. So instead, it's better to use a wax, which is a great alternative, or in this case, I am going to try Sweet Pickin's oil wax, and I'm going to do it in a white. So that's going to soften some of this green tone a little bit. Now, bear in mind, oil wax means it is not water-based, it is oil-based. You need to clean this with mineral spirits. But from what I understand, it leaves a really great durable finish. So I'm loving the idea. It's also apparently great on raw wood. So food grade, finishing off cutting boards, those kinds of things, it can give that soft kind of white hazy look if you're using it in the white. And again, something that you could do multiple coats of if you choose, which would just increase it. The idea with this product is that we would brush it on, leave it on for about 15 minutes, and then wipe it all back. And then we can come in and buff. So you can see, you can leave it kind of sitting down in those crevices, adding some of that white look across the top, and then wipe away all of that excess. But you want to leave it on a little bit so it kind of seeps in and gives it a great look. So this is what I'm going to be using to finish this top. I'll leave it on, I'll wipe it away, and then come in and buff it. And apart from the hardware, getting that back on, this baby is done. And I have to say, so far, I am loving all of these products. And as a test case, this has been awesome. I am really excited and looking forward to getting this all reassembled and seeing it all together in its glory.